Welcome to Go Bucks. Matt, I hope you've had a great weekend, but I believe that the long national nightmare is almost over. In just a few weeks, we are going to find out the verdict from the NCAA about Michigan and the sign stealing scandal. We'll just put air quotes around that, but I guess it is. But anyway, this is going to be an interesting show because I think we're going to try and cover a few topics. The sign scandal. My gosh, Derek Moore. Did you hear what he said out of Michigan about Ohio State's national title not really being real, like being fake? And then if we get into it, we'll talk about the offensive line as well, as far as just kind of comparing Michigan and Ohio State's offensive lines, those two units, and see how we go. But Matt, how have you been, man? You and I made a bet real quick. You and I made a bet a while back, and we did it on here that you think Michigan is going to get a bowl ban, and they're also going to get vacated wins. And I said they won't get either of those. So whoever wins the bet is going to be super happy because it's going to be either or for sure.
Yeah, what happens though if you get a vacated national title, but then no bowl ban? What are we doing in that scenario?
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe it's a forfeit bet because you said they're both going to happen, and I said neither are going to happen. We didn't
maybe we need
deeply about it.
Yeah,
I still don't think either is going to happen. I think I'm going to win that bet. And the loser has to sing the other team's national fight, the team fight song on the air. Hey, salute 8 Mile.
Yeah, I thought the sort of the latest news before Derek Moore was complaining about our national title. There was the big news was when Tony Petitti said that he made a comment, or he didn't make a comment. There was reporting that he had sent a letter in supporting Michigan, saying that enough is enough. We don't need to have any more punishments levied against Michigan for the sign stealing fiasco. And going back, not just in the Big Ten, but almost every scenario where a conference team is up for a big punishment like this, the commissioner has done that. So it's just not new. It's just a little bit weird in this situation, since he did go out of his way to try to punish Michigan prior to the NCAA completing their investigation, because he knew that he wouldn't be able, the NCAA wasn't going to be getting to anything anytime soon. So he wanted to try to use the sportsmanship loophole or whatever to try to make sure there was some sort of punishment the year that they found out about it. So they did that, and there was 3-game suspension, because, as you know, he was still allowed to coach the team all week, just not allowed to coach in the game. So it was sort of a week suspension anyway.
But a week suspension? Wait a minute. Did you say the 3-game suspension was weak?
Week. Yes, it was weak because he was allowed to participate and coach his team all throughout the week. Each of those 3 weeks. Come on.
So I guess coaches can take the day off then on game days. What you're saying? No biggie.
I've never heard of a suspension where you're still allowed to coach them all throughout the week. Like normally, when a player is suspended, they don't get to practice all week. They're suspended for the whole time. They can't do anything. And I've never heard of a coach only being suspended for the game where they coach and not throughout the week. I've never heard of it. This is suspension.
That shows how fraudulent that punishment was anyway. I mean, seriously, there was no due process whatsoever for Harbaugh, for Michigan. I mean, they just heard what happened and they said, hey, you guys are punished for it because we think there's enough.
The NCAA doesn't really work with due process. They have the rules and they make the decisions, and you don't really get much to say.
No, you do. You can fight it. Yeah, I think
not too much though. Like, I mean, the decisions are pretty binding. I don't even think you can appeal, really. Like, once the decision is made, you're pretty much toast. Are you aware of any decisions being appealed?
I don't know, but I still need. It's been a little while since we've talked about this. Where are you as far as like so much has happened? Pretty much every big outlet, every big sports news outlet, the guys on there say, they use Connor Stalions as kind of like clickbait, but none of them actually think Michigan's going to get a bowl ban or vacating wins. None of them say that. They all think that that's not going to happen.
Well,
So
I've been hearing a lot more of that prior to Petitti coming out, because the main thing that I was looking at was, well, before we even get to that, was the main thing in that Petitti article that people aren't talking about was the fact that there was going to be the punishment prior to the start of the season. So that was in that article. It was sort of, I don't know why that wasn't the headline, because we've been waiting for this punishment for a long time. When, after the COI was finally done, and they had their day in court with the NCAA, so to speak, and we didn't know how long we were going to be waiting until there was actually an answer. And that report said that we were going to be getting something prior to the season starting, which is in, I think 5 weekends for the regular college football, but I think some games are going to be starting in 4 weeks, right? Because you guys, Michigan is now a week early in their game against Western Michigan. I think, they have those week 0 games. So you guys are playing in Germany for that first week. So you have an extra week to prepare for Oklahoma, which is nice. And it'll also be interesting to see what kind of punishment Sherrone Moore is getting, because, you guys were trying to make it a week 3 and week 4 suspension. So not only was your 2-game suspension cherry picked, it was, in addition to only being 2 games, he also cherry picked it and made it after the Oklahoma game, which was convenient.
Listen to this, and I wish I could give whoever I heard this from credit. It was a YouTube show, and I just can't remember, but they were talking about the NCAA process, and by Michigan saying, okay, 2 games for more, 2-game suspension for more now, what they'll do, even if the NCAA comes back and says, no, Moore needs 4 games, what Michigan will do is they'll appeal it, which pushes it even farther back. And Moore will take his 2-game suspension this year, and the appeal will last so long that it'll probably go past the season, that you're talking about something for next year. If it's another 2 games, then maybe it would be next year, because the appeal process is so long. So yeah, we could be talking about this.
I'll make another bet with you.
Time.
I don't think that they're going to appeal that. If it was only a 4-game suspension, they're not going to waste their time appealing that.
We'll see. Yeah,
especially this year, like, you have a freshman quarterback. Even if he's really good, the odds of a freshman quarterback coming in and doing what Trevor Lawrence did, I mean, that almost never happens.
Yeah, we got to stop with the Trevor Lawrence comparisons. I keep hearing that. That's just that's silly.
Yeah,
that never happens. That literally happened one time.
Not to mention his entire team around him was really good too. So it wasn't just that he was elite. Like, his whole team was really good.
He might have Trevor Lawrence type talent, but the actual result, that's just kind of silly.
And they don't have the receivers. They don't have the receivers that Clemson had.
Real quick, though, I need to hear what you think is going to happen, because there's been a lot of time that's gone by since we kind of chatted about this subject. What do you think is going to happen? Are you still on? Excuse me. Are you still on the vacating wins and bowl ban? Are you thinking both of those are still going to happen?
Not only do I think both of them are still going to happen, I think
you're keeping the faith.
Yeah. I mean, nothing has come out that has changed my mind on that. I think Petitti putting out the letter is sort of like begging to not destroy one of the Big Ten's premier teams. If the punishment was supposed to be small, then I think that that wouldn't even happen. And the other interesting thing is, so let's say Sherrone Moore was supposed to get, let's say the NCAA wanted to suspend him for 6 games and give him a fine, no bowl ban, no vacating of wins. Are they going to waste their time and actually go to court over a few game suspension for Moore? The only reason no.
They did with Harbaugh.
There's no way
they did with Harbaugh. They did it. Harbaugh was supposed to get more games.
Harbaugh is still going to have more from this. He got like a huge show cause. That's why. Harbaugh,
No. I'm talking
they
about
weren't going to.
2023 when Harbaugh
Yeah,
was suspended for the first 3 games of 2023.
yeah,
The NCAA wanted more, but Michigan appealed that. They still gave Harbaugh the 3-game suspension, but Harbaugh just left before like that appeal, I think, could be finalized. They were probably going to give him more games. They would have probably given him 5 games or something for whatever, something not related to Connor Stalions. But
yeah.
I think, excuse me, I think that I don't say, okay, personally, I don't think Michigan's going to get a bowl ban or vacating of games, especially since Tony Petitti put his balls out there and wrote a letter about it. Because if it's cheating, if what Connor Stalions did was truly cheating, like in the traditional sense of the word, then I don't think the commissioner of the Big Ten is going to say, well, just a frilly suspension and firing of Connor Stalions is going to be enough for cheating. I mean, if you say cheating, like that's the word that keeps going around. If it's cheating where you have to vacate games and in-person scouting is actually rises to that level, then Petiti is not going to say, "Hey, just let it go." He's not going to say that, right?
Yeah, I think that's what everyone else has done in the past when, what did Tressel get, a 40, how many years show cause did he get? Do you remember?
Yeah, but Tressel got caught red-handed. Like there were emails that they
Yeah,
found with him actually lying. They didn't find anything like that with
there
Harbaugh.
wasn't
Like
cheating
they would
though.
need a smoking gun.
There wasn't cheating though.
Well, no, I know. So I'm saying that's not cheating, getting tattoos, but they actually nailed
Yeah, I
Tressel.
know.
They didn't
And then
nail
Tennessee,
Harbaugh with anything.
Tennessee had their commit. The SEC tried to, come out in favor of Tennessee, and they lost 2 years of. They had to vacate 2 years of games, even with the support of the SEC commissioner.
Yeah, but that had players that were ineligible because they took money.
I
There's
know,
a
but they
there's a
and they
there's a
supported them.
tradition for like vacating games. Like
Yeah,
Ohio State had to
and the
because
commissioner
your guys
always
were.
supports. The commissioner has always supported the team whenever they
It's
get into
true.
trouble. The only weird thing about this one is that he came out against Michigan initially. I think probably because he was a new commissioner. He was only on the job for what, a month when this happened, maybe a couple
Yeah.
months, and he probably didn't want to look weak. And then after a while, he was probably like, all these people from Fox and ESPN are like, listen, you need to do what you can because we need to make sure that that something happens here. And he probably had, let a little peer pressure get to him to make that decision. And
That was the wussiest thing ever to hand down a punishment like that to Harbaugh in that year for his final 3 games. I mean, you might want to say it's like a small suspension. I disagree. That must have been a huge distraction for the entire team to have to go into that 3-game stretch with Penn State and Ohio State. Like that was a huge distraction.
it also helped galvanize them too. I think there's something to be said for that. They were all wearing the free Harbaugh shirts and everything. So it does help when you're you against the world and you think that you're being wrong. That
Well,
could have
yeah, that's
helped
because
give
Michigan turned
extra
it into that.
motivation.
Like they
Yeah.
did that themselves for themselves, but I don't know. And I know
So maybe
you
that suspension is the only reason you guys were able to win.
yeah. Hey, you know what? That's actually like I wouldn't go back in time and change anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just like you probably wouldn't go back in time. Well, maybe that's a different question. I was about to say, would you go back in time and change Ohio State's loss to Michigan this past year, 2024? But knowing that may not have galvanized the team to win a national title. That's a good question. That's a good time machine question. Like if Ohio State hadn't lost to Michigan, would they have been able to pull together and focus uh, and play the and go all and make that awesome sweep that they did last year in the fake national title, by the way?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Would you
It
trade
seems
that? Would you go back in time and roll the dice on that?
no. You don't ever take away a national title. No. As much as I would want to, you can't ever risk it.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, it's it's, you try to make it and compare it to how the NFL is, and when Like all the teams lose to their rivals in the NFL all the time, and then they go on a run and they win the Super Bowl, and no one is ever talking smack about how well, you lost to the Eagles in the regular season or the Chiefs in the regular season, but then you you won the Super Bowl, so your Super Bowl doesn't count. Like no one ever says that. And then I also don't think I've ever heard Alabama or Georgia getting bashed for winning national titles when they lost the SEC championship to their rival. Like that's never once come up. It's only comes up in when it's dealing with Ohio State or Michigan, which I think is it shows how important the rivalry is. But I'm kind of worried going forward that the rivalry isn't going to, even if it matters as much to the fans, I think that no matter what fans say, especially older fans, you're always going to, want to win that game for the rivalry. But, it's imagine going forward, like there's a really good chance that Ohio State will play Michigan, then we'll play them again in the Big Ten championship game, and then we'll play them again in the playoffs. I mean, there's going to be a lot of years where we're going to be playing 2 to 3 times a year. And
that's going to be
just been, because Ohio State's going to be good enough most years to make it. And I assume with the influx of money from Larry Ellison's girlfriend or wife, who was the big Michigan fan, giving you guys $8.5
not anymore. Look what Trump just did. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that's going to affect anything. Trump just signed an executive order.
Yeah, that still has to be figured out. Like we don't know if that's going to be confirmed or not. Like things, it seems like something changes.
That may have
almost weekly. With NIL.
That might have been a big NIL cock block right there, right from the president.
And I wonder if that actually goes through as far as everyone. I mean, like, I haven't read the whole thing. I don't know what kind of enforcement mechanism there is. So just because the executive order says you can't do it, like, so who's going to enforce if you don't do it right? Like, who's going to do anything about it? Like,
I want to go back to what you were saying though about not giving up the national championship. And like that whole saying where, people would say, well, that game, Michigan or Ohio State, we'd rather win that game than win the national title.
Mm-hmm.
I think I disagree with that. I mean, even if I can't dunk on you guys about that, I wouldn't give up the national title for just the Michigan game. You play that game every year. You get like a guaranteed
we win that a lot
every single year.
We had won 15 out of 16 years and, only had 2 national titles to show for it. So,
well, even if whether you win or lose, I mean, you still get the chance to win, to play it and to win.
Yeah, plus it used to be different.
You don't get that.
It used to be different too. There was, if in the years ago, if you didn't win that game, you didn't get to go to the Rose Bowl to even get a chance to go to the title or to be voted number 1. So you pretty much had to win that game. And then with the BCS era and the 4-game playoff era, again, you had to win that game. Otherwise, you weren't going to make it in the playoffs. So this 12-team playoff was the first year where winning or losing that game doesn't matter as much.
Yeah, for sure. It's too much.
But can you imagine playing that game 3 times and going 3-0?
How
brutal that would be.
My heart can't handle watching it that many times. Like you said, it was too painful for you to watch.
How much smack talk there would be if you beat someone 3 times in the same year? It would just be, oh my God.
If teams are that good that they're in the playoffs and in the championship, I mean, chances are one of those games, at least the other team's going to win. Like it's just too hard to just repeat and three-peat like that back to back. That's just crazy.
I know, but it's going to happen. And when it does, it's going to be crazy.
It is. But I mean, to kind of close out this bowl ban and vacated wins thing, like we've seen, and I know you don't accept this, but Baylor back in, I think it was 2015, was nabbed by the NCAA for in-person scouting. And
how many times? How many times?
No. Cheating. If it's cheating, it's cheating. It doesn't matter how many times.
No, it definitely matters how many times. How many times?
Granted, it does, but
was it one time?
Yeah, they did.
Or was it 50 times?
Jeff Lebby, the passing game coordinator for Baylor, in person scouted against Oklahoma an upcoming game. They had an upcoming game against Oklahoma, and Baylor, I think he went out to Tulsa, sat on the Tulsa sideline with a buddy. The coach was his buddy, and got seen out there. And the NCAA gave him a half-game suspension for that, for cheating. In-person scouting is cheating, right?
Yeah.
So
but that's
if he only got a half-game suspension for that, I don't think anyone really thinks in-person scouting is cheating. I mean, that just doesn't add up. I mean, I'd love to hear from the chat, the comments. If Baylor did it and it wasn't cheating and they got a half-game suspension, then why is it cheating for Michigan?
How are you going to compare one game to in-person getting fake outfits and scouting against the Central Michigan game versus Michigan State, which
it's the only comparison we got. It's the only comparison we've got because this happened so few times.
For scouting. But I mean, so here's the thing: you guys were already on probation, correct?
No. Let's just stick to
because it's not the same. You guys are on probation.
That's fine.
One.
But
were there any aggravating factors? Did you guys do anything that would help or hurt your
I see what you're doing.
Cause?
That you are trained to do this, being a lawyer. I see what you're doing. But
all these other teams, they throw themselves
for Michigan,
on the sword.
It should have been cheating for Baylor.
They try to, say, okay, we did something wrong. We're going to self-impose all these punishments and try to get ahead of it. We're going to cooperate. We're going to do everything we can. And what was the first thing that Moore did when he heard about it? He immediately goes and deletes his messages.
When he heard about that?
Yeah. And
there's a misconception there. Don't get it misconstrued. So Michigan did not cooperate with the Big Ten when the Big Ten was trying to give them suspensions. Michigan absolutely did not cooperate with the Big Ten, but they did cooperate with the NCAA. That's a misconception. The NCAA came in and Michigan gave him everything. Granted, Harbaugh didn't give them his personal phone and his personal computer and let them
was it cooperation when one of the coaches was telling everybody not to cooperate with the NCAA and deleted evidence?
Well, no,
not just Moore. The other coach too.
Yeah, not Moore. I'm talking the linebackers coach. His name is escaping me right
Partridge.
Now. They fired him. Partridge. Yeah, they fired him immediately when they heard about it. So it's not like I don't know what they'll give him for that. But the question at hand, because I keep hearing the word cheating going around. If it wasn't cheating,
it doesn't matter if it's cheating or not. There's policies that are level 1 violations.
I keep hearing the cheaters
or
up
level
north.
2 violations.
The cheaters up north.
Multiples. And so there was how many? So each one of these in-person advanced scoutings, there was like 56 to 60 of them. So okay, let's get
true. But have you heard what they think about Tennessee and South Carolina? Like
what year did that Baylor incident happen? Do you know?
2015.
Okay, was there a rule in place at the time that made the head coach?
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, so
but I'm saying, but
that goes.
Listen to
this.
This
lack of
wild.
Institutional control.
Jeff Lebby in-person scouted Oklahoma, and he got a half-game suspension. The half-game suspension he got was for the Oklahoma game. They let Jeff Lebby go back into that game later on in the year and coach in that game with all of that in-person scouting intel, cheating material. Like, if it's cheating, then why was Jeff Lebby able to go back into the game and actually play and actually coach if he had that cheating information?
Do you think that the violations
against, is it really,
do you think the initial violations against Harbaugh were that bad?
Say that again.
Do you think the initial violations for Burgergate against Harbaugh, do you think that those punishments would be bad?
No, I didn't think that
they were pretty bad punishments, correct?
They were definitely trying to nail Harbaugh as much as possible, because Harbaugh was calling for revenue sharing at a year or so before that. They wanted to shut Harbaugh down. And
so I mean, he's definitely going to be getting. They're going to add a 4 or 5 year show cause for him for sure.
Oh yeah, they're going to nail Harbaugh.
I think
they're going to go. They're going to go big time with a symbolic punishment against the guys who don't care.
Yeah, I think Moore is going to get half a year or a year as well. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get it, close to a year.
Yeah, that's the only question
He's the only person still around, right? Is there any other coaches that were around? that didn't leave?
No, I don't think so. I think most of the coaches that were involved bolted.
So the only person that was there during the cheating that they could still punish is the current head coach. Isn't that interesting?
Now let's remember also what Moore did. Like, we got to talk about exactly what he did. He didn't wipe his phone. He just deleted the texts. Like, you go into your texts and you press and you hold and you click delete. You tap delete. He didn't wipe his phone and try to
He
like
delete
actually
yeah, he
do it.
deleted all his
He
texts
wiped
to Connor
he deleted those
Stalions.
texts and then handed the phone in. So if he would have wiped his phone and done something really disastrous like that, I don't think he would be the head coach at Michigan. If there was anything on those texts, because Michigan
Sure, they
already
would.
has
They would say there was no evidence.
no, well, yeah, but like, they've already seen the text messages. The NCAA has seen them. The Michigan program has seen them. They would never have hired Moore if anything was on those texts. If anything nefarious with Connor Stalions was actually on those
Yeah, I'm
texts.
not saying that there was. I'm just saying it just shows, a guilty mindset to immediately go and
Yeah,
delete that. I mean,
yeah,
it's not a good
agreed.
look, especially when you're on probation. But I mean, I just think you know, the interesting part was, so you were saying that the in-person scouting or whatnot didn't really affect the games that much.
Well, no. They may have affected the games to some degree. But
Okay.
have you heard the Tennessee and South Carolina conspiracy
Yeah.
theories, where
Yep.
because in 2022 South Carolina scored like 9 straight touchdowns on Tennessee and beat them? Like, Tennessee fans think that Connor Stalions was 100%
Yeah.
responsible for South Carolina scoring 9 straight
Yeah.
touchdowns, as if in-person scouting or sign stealing could be that effective. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy talk. And the Sports Talk
I don't think
Jay, you
so.
ever watch that guy? He's really good. I love Sports Talk Jay. He's a Tennessee guy. He is 100% convinced that Michigan, Connor Stalions gave intel to South Carolina, and it was good for 9 straight touchdowns,
Yeah,
his
and I
intel.
think
And
that
I think
that's
that's
gonna.
wildly hilarious to think that since the invention of football, no one has figured that out. No one has figured out that you could steal signs and score 9 straight touchdowns in a game.
Well,
It
no
just
one
doesn't
else has
make any
ever
sense.
done. No one else has ever been caught for what Stallions has been caught for here. So this
Yeah,
is
but
unique.
sign stealing's been around for a long time.
Not like
Someone
this
would have
though.
figured it out. Also, in-person scouting used to be legal until like 1995. Someone can correct me on the year, but sign
But
stealing was
actually, what? One of
sorry,
the
in-person scouting was legal until
one
95.
one
So
of the biggest
it
points.
wasn't it wasn't even made illegal for cheating reasons or because you get such good information from it. It was just a cost equity reason. Is that your phone?
Yeah.
What is that
Um,
tune? Is that like Dawn of the Dead? It sounds evil.
but the point I wanted to get to was Connor Stalions. So there was this big thing where the TCU coach was going and talking about how they knew the Michigan signs.
Mhm.
They knew that Michigan had been scouting people, so they were told to to be aware of that. And so he changed half of their signals, um, and that's how they kept on scoring. Like, so all year long, Michigan's defense completely shut down everyone. And the one game where someone knew about it and did something to change their calls and to make dummy calls, they absolutely lit them up. And TCU wasn't like an amazing offense. I mean, they were good. They didn't
Pretty
have.
explosive offense.
Yeah, but I mean, it's TCU. They got what, they get 7 points against Georgia. I mean, this was not an amazing offense against. Your team had shut down everybody all year long, including Ohio State, and TCU just completely lit them up. And he was going on and on about how he made these changes with the signs and everything, and made the dummy signs, and how that was why they won. And then Connor Stalions couldn't help himself, and he comes out and he was just saying how there was like 7 or 8 games where he had all the signs for the games and everything, and he
Yeah.
was saying that was one of them. And he was just saying how TCU was he was he was saying how he was trying to excuse it, but saying how that was his signs were amazing, and it was super important that he was able to do it, and that they weren't outsmarting him. Basically, he just couldn't let himself come across as being outsmarted, but at the same time, completely admitting like all the stuff that he did, and just the ruling is not out yet, and he's just like throwing more coal in the fire. Like it was
Yeah, he
really
shouldn't have
bad.
done that. He needed
It
to
was
wait
really
for the
bad for you
ruling to
guys.
come out.
He
I don't
just
think
keeps
it
on
really
like
affects the ruling,
giving more
but
information and then he had the whole Netflix documentary showing how he did everything. And
Mhm.
I mean, there's just so much information, and just like doing it 60 times over 2.5 years or something. It's just crazy.
It's sleazy. I agree.
And like the thing that everyone keeps saying, if it didn't help, like everyone, so many Michigan fans always go online like, well, the all 22 films or whatever, all you can get all the signs from that, which you can't. And like, if you could, why would he be doing all this?
You're
Like,
right. I totally agree. It was a
yeah,
sleazy thing to do, and being in disguise, kind of like, and
yeah.
seeing it on TV. Um, I think that kind of led to it. There should be a punishment. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any punishment whatsoever. I do think it. I think that
I'm
it
glad you're
probably
on
was
board with
valuable.
vacating 2.5 to 3 years of games and having a 2 to 3 year
No,
bull ban,
so
Nate. I'm glad we could finally agree.
I I think that it was sleazy, and he should have been fired, and maybe there should have been suspension for Harbaugh. Okay. I just don't think that Connor Stalions sign stealing intel, where his mom is using her iPhone 11 at a game somewhere and recording the sideline, led to 9 straight touchdowns against Tennessee for South Carolina. I mean, do you agree with that? Do
No, I
you
don't agree with
agree that
anything. I think that all that stuff is really shady. I mean, he's getting really good seats, like right where you can see the signs on the opposing team. Like,
so what? That's I mean, it's not right for him to be there or to do the
I
in-person
mean, the
scouting
bottom
because
line
it's
is they
against the
should be
rule.
punished
But
just because
hold
he
on.
was dumb enough to leave his what was his Venmo account like public
That
like
is the
that.
truth.
That alone
That is the
deserves
truth.
all the punishments in the world, because I probably agree with you that other teams have done this and just no one was dumb enough to get caught. I'm guessing. I'm sure all the other top teams probably did it too. But I mean, you can only punish the people that you have evidence against.
Yeah, I think he should be punished. That's fine, but only punished to the degree that, like, when coaches
If
signal in a
that's not
game.
lack
Hold
of
on, Matt.
institutional
Let me finish a sentence.
control, I don't know what is.
Let me finish a sentence. What now?
Never. I said, if that's not lack of institutional control, what is?
It's not, because the actual crime isn't that big of a deal. And in my I guess that no, it's not even in my opinion. That's actually in the NCAA's opinion, because they only gave Jeff Lebby a half game suspension for doing it, for cheating. He cheated, and they only gave him a half game suspension, and they let
One time, not 60
him
times.
use. So here's the thing: if Connor Stallions would have hacked into the Ohio State computer
Well, yeah,
system
obviously
and
that would be worse.
stole
I
signs and
mean,
stole all their signs,
your other coordinator already did that. He
yeah,
did some hacking.
okay, but if he would have hacked into the system and stole all the signs, that's cheating. You agree? If he would have done that, it would have been guaranteed
Oh,
vacated wins.
100%.
But the fact that he went to games where coaches are publicly signaling, that's public information. Coaches are showing their signals
It
to tens of thousands of
it
fans with
doesn't
iPhones.
matter. Like,
Hold on, let me finish.
it's a
They,
rule. He broke
tens of
it.
no, no, no. I know he broke the rule and he should be punished. On top of that, but uh, also, here's why I don't think it's cheating. It's because it's public information. When you signal in a game, you're signaling in front of the TV cameras, you're signaling in front of the other team on the other sideline, you're signaling in front of tens of thousands of fans with iPhones
Didn't the
who can
Patriots get
record
in
you.
trouble for this?
I don't know. But here, you've got
Didn't they lose
to
like
let me make
multiple
my
first round
point.
picks?
You just
Spygate, you
don't
ever
want
heard of
me to
it?
make this point because you know that
No.
signals are public
You
information.
act
You
like that
can't
this never
cheat with
happened
public
before.
information.
You
You can't
can.
cheat using public
Spygate,
information. No, you can't.
Spygate happened.
You
You get
can't.
a leak
You can't cheat
recorded
with
game.
public
You can't
info.
do that.
Signals are public information. They are not private. They are not proprietary information. You know this as a lawyer. Like, if you
Spygate.
signal out in a football game, you can't say, oh no, I think someone may have noticed that. That's my information. You can't notice that. You can't do that.
Well, there
And
was a
the
rule against
NCAA
them.
knows that, and that's why we're not going to get vacated games or a bowl ban. Agree to disagree. Like and subscribe, please. But hey, let's go to some chats here. The reports out there that OSU, Rutgers, Illinois, and a bunch of other teams shared Michigan signs with each other. Where is the outrage? Yeah, I mean, like where does it end? I mean, this information is shared all the time.
There hasn't been proof of that. That's just
allegations, but also it's so easy to make sign stealing legal. Exactly what Connor Stalions did, because just any booster.
So
if
that
it was really that great, if that information was so valuable,
upset about anything, just the fact that they got caught and no one else did. So again, your guy was a moron and left his Venmo public. So you deserve all the punishments you get.
I agree.
Like he's like the dumbest smart guy that I've ever seen. I mean, he's obviously borderline genius to like do all the stuff he did with the sign stealing. Very smart to be able to do that. However,
how tedious.
Not so good at covering it up.
Not so good at covering up, which makes me also believe that maybe he was keeping it secret too, because he would have probably screwed something up or left some stone unturned in trying to hide it with other coaches too. I kind of tend to believe he's smart enough to know that he didn't want to involve Harbaugh and the other coaches in it, so that they could, plausible deniability, whatever that is.
Which is why I'm glad they don't have that as a defense anymore.
Yeah, but I think it's super interesting. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, Brian wouldn't even come on because he's tired of talking about this.
I know.
It's been going on. I agree with him. It's been going on for a long time. It's super annoying. Everyone on both sides just wants this to be over so we can move on.
I don't know. We all like arguing about it, but I need to hear you say that in-person scouting is not really cheating. It's cheating.
Oh, it's huge for all these people I've been listening to. They say you get at least 7 points a game doing it.
But no. But then why hasn't the NCAA? Why did the NCAA try to get rid of the rule? And why did more than half of the schools vote
people tried to,
for the in-person scouting statute?
It's just like in Congress, you have some people that are crazy and they vote to do crazy things, but that doesn't mean the majority are crazy all the time.
It would be wonderful to know which schools voted for what.
Yeah.
Ohio State may
we have some people that were crazy. And
Ohio State may have voted for the in-person scouting rule to be pulled out of the rule.
Yeah, we have no idea. It would be nice if we could get that.
I think it was a simple majority. It was like 56% or something like that of schools thought that was a silly rule because people have cameras. And to think about how easy it would have been for a booster to pay some kid to go to each one of the games if that information is really that valuable. You could just pay some kid to go to every single game and sit on the 50-yard line and record it and post it on YouTube. As soon as they post it on YouTube, it's legal, right? Because you didn't do it. And it was a cost equity thing. Yeah, that's what's wild to me. If this information, if in-person scouting and stealing the signs was that valuable, then I just feel like a lot more schools would have done that. They would have had some sort of process for doing that legally. And we would have seen this happen. It wouldn't have how was it that Connor Stalions just now figured that out? How are we all just realizing that this in-person scouting sign stealing thing is going to get you 9 touchdowns against Tennessee? Like that's something's not adding up there.
Well, we have how many weeks do you think it's going to be before we actually get an answer? So if games are starting in like 4 weeks, do you think they're going to wait like the day before to give out the punishment? Like,
who knows?
So Michigan plays on a Saturday in Germany. You think we're going to find out like Friday on the plane flight over? It's going to be something crazy.
Who knows, man? I don't know. And they'll probably do it before the season is my guess, so that because they don't want it to go too far. Because if they have more games for more, they want that to come out before. Sorry, go ahead.
What happens if you have the title vacated and you have like a 2-year bowl ban? How are you going to deal with that?
I'll come on here and cry and be
What what
very angry and
what are you
use
going to be
the
more upset
worst
about,
language.
the bowl ban or the vacating of the title?
I would be more I would be more upset about the bowl ban by
Even if
far.
it's just 1 year?
Oh, any bowl ban. Any bowl
Really?
ban, I'm gonna be pissed.
Even this year
But
though, because like I think a 1 year bowl ban with no vacating of wins, or at least let's say vacating of some wins and a 1 year bowl ban would be ideal for you guys because I mean you have a an outside chance of making the playoffs this year, but you don't have much of a chance of winning it all this year. So I would say,
no.
in his freshman year, and it's not going to hurt recruiting at all to only have a 1 year bowl ban.
Yeah, but think of all the games and practices extra that you get when you
Yeah,
go to the
but it
playoffs.
would be done with, and it's just not going to affect you long term. Whereas if you get a 2 year bowl ban, that will actually affect recruiting.
No, yeah, but I don't think we're gonna get a bowl ban because Tennessee had 18 level 1 violations and didn't get a bowl ban. That's how I'm reading it anyway.
Well, yeah,
But
I mean, it just depends on whether you think that that was the this is a unique. You have to at least admit whether or not you think that this scouting is not bad or not. It's definitely unique in that no one's ever done this exact scenario this many times, this in
oh, no,
detail.
they have. Jeff Lebby at Baylor did the exact thing and broke the exact same statute that Connor
56
Stalions
to
broke.
60 times
No, no, no.
over 2.5 years while on
True.
probation. Okay,
Yes. Admittedly, that is
that's a lot of,
way
and then
more. Like, the
not
punishment should be
cooperating and all sorts of other problems.
I'm
You know,
100% on board with you saying
I'm just
that
saying this
Connor
whole
Stalions
situation is
should get
very unique, and that's why we really don't know how they're going to handle it.
I'm on board with you and agree that the punishment for Connor Stalions should be more than a half game suspension, like it's what they gave to Jeff Lebby. It should be more than a half game suspension. And it already is because they fired his ass.
No, I'm not even talking about what the punishment should be. I'm just saying because this is so unique. Like no, this scale of cheating has never been caught before.
Cheating? Is it cheating now? Are you
Cheating,
sure it's
rule
cheating?
violations, all sorts of issues
Are you
while on
sure
probation,
it's cheating?
while on double secret probation,
Noticing public information is cheating
while on double secret probation.
and double secret probation. Yeah, I think that now I don't I forget the question, but I I think your original question was would you be more angry about the bowl ban
Yeah,
than vacating wins? Definitely the bowl ban, but I would be super annoyed at vacating wins because if they have to vacate wins, that's the NCAA saying in so many words that Michigan did cheat, that in-person
yeah.
scouting is cheating, and I'm going to have a huge problem with that because of the Baylor situation. Because even if Baylor should have had to have forfeit the game against Oklahoma, right? Even if it happened once, shouldn't Baylor have to forfeit that game against Oklahoma for cheating by in-person scouting?
I think you just easily distinguish it by the fact that it was an ongoing problem, not an isolated incident.
Yeah, but if you cheat against a team
No, I still
specifically,
think half a game is light in that particular instance. I'm surprised he didn't at least get a whole game, since he cheated for
yeah,
that
he
particular
got to
game.
go back into the game and
Yeah,
coach against Oklahoma, the game he
yeah,
cheated.
I agree. That was very strange that they did that. However, there's a lot of different
So
circumstances
that's
in
why I would
the
be upset.
Michigan scandal.
That's why I would be upset if Michigan had to vacate games because I don't feel like the rules are being applied equally in that case. But I don't know what the NCAA is going to do. I mean, I'm trying to live in a world where the NCAA would be like logical and use common sense, but they don't
And
burden themselves
then the other
with
thing
things like
is,
that.
keep in mind, like if I mean, this was still Harbaugh's team for all of this cheating, and they still may want to stick it to him. He was the one that won the national title. They still,
Mhm.
could be. And then also, this could be, the last time the NCAA is actually able to really enforce rules because the only thing that they can't really, I mean, they can't really do anything with all the pay for play stuff. Because of antitrust issues, they are pretty much neutered. So this type of a rule is sort of the only thing left that they can punish, and they're probably going to be replaced in the next year or whatever anyway. Like, is the NCAA
True.
even going to be around? So they may want to go out with a bang.
They might want to go out with a bang. I think they're going to be around. I think they're going to be like repurposed essentially. But I mean, I really don't, yeah, that's
I mean, they
pretty
don't like
interesting.
Harbaugh. They don't want to reward him for any of that cheating,
Any of
that
that
rule
cheating,
violating.
that rule violating. Yeah. You know, what's interesting about that rule though, is even if you think that Tennessee like lost because of Connor Stalions sign stealing scandal or whatever he did, like it's actually not illegal to in-person scout a team who's not on your schedule that year. Like
Yeah.
you read that in there. So and there's another loophole right there.
How
You
does
could
that
actually
work?
have someone
How does
else.
that work? How does that work for if you play them in the playoffs though? So then it counts, right?
It you can in-person scout because you don't know that they're going to be on your that's not really
I
on
don't
your
know. I don't
schedule.
know. I don't think that that's potential. I think if you do end up playing them, like for instance, they played TCU, so I don't think you
But you
could
would have
use that
already
excuse.
pre-scouted them like before you
Yeah.
even knew that they were going to you were going to
So
be
so
playing
that's the
them.
risk that you're taking, right?
I don't think it's a risk. I think that it's perfectly legal. Like as far
I'll
you
have to
could,
look. I'll have to look it up. That I'm not 100% sure on
yeah,
that rule.
you go ahead. Yeah, look up the statute in the NCAA rule book. But essentially, you can do in-person scouting for other teams if you want. So Connor Stallions probably may have looked at that as maybe a moonlighting
So if
idea.
you're allowed to do that, then why the secrecy over the assisting Central Michigan beat MSU? Why the secrecy
Well,
there? That's
because
legal.
Michigan was playing Michigan State, so he was in-person scouting Michigan State
He said
on
that he
the
already had
CMU. I
Michigan
thought
State's signals. He was just helping helping Central Michigan, right?
maybe he was, and maybe he did, and maybe that's what he was doing there. He was trying to
Yeah.
help Michigan beat Michigan State, but Central Michigan, I don't know what happened in that game. Did they lose to Michigan State in that?
Oh no, yeah. Michigan State won.
That how is it possible that Connor Stallion sign stealing was not that
Central
effective
Michigan.
against Michigan State, but it
Well,
was against Tennessee?
because Central Michigan sucks, just like the high school team he was doing. He was
So did South
coaching
Carolina.
for. He was coaching in high school and he lost like every single one of his games because you still have to have comparable talent to be able to win those games. It's not.
Yeah.
It needs more than the signals. Central Michigan can only do so much.
Oh goodness. Well, we've beaten this dead horse, I think,
Yeah.
quite a bit. But I do want to. There's a question. Where is it? What's your prediction for Michigan and Ohio State record? That's a good one, 8 Mile. Go ahead, Matt. What's your prediction for Michigan this
For
year?
Ohio State, I think we're going to only lose one game. For Michigan, I think you guys are going to
Regular
probably
season,
get.
right? Regular season because we don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think So when they do it's all regular season. So like their win total, I believe, is 8.5 for Michigan.
Mhm.
I think.
Yep.
I mean, I'm going to go on the under of that. I mean, I think it's going to be 8 or 9. That's what I would have guessed, and it just really depends. I just think having a I think the quarterback's going to be a big upgrade, but having a freshman quarterback, a true freshman quarterback, is just so hard, to
Oh,
win, especially you know your first year. I just think he's going to make some big mistakes, and in a couple games, like especially that Oklahoma. If they could somehow pull that off, that would be big for them. And I don't know. Is
huge.
your schedule's not too bad this year, right?
No, the schedule technically is pretty easy, but there's probably 4 or 5 losable games on there still.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Oklahoma, you've got Nebraska, Washington. I'm chalking Washington up to as a losable game for pretty much everyone this year that they play because I think Washington is probably going to be better than everyone thinks, and their quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. I
They're
think the
getting a
Big
lot
Ten,
of love in the media
there's
right
going to be
now.
like a lot of like solid teams in the Big Ten. It's just, Washington should be pretty good. USC should be pretty good. We don't know how good.
Yeah.
Illinois is supposed to be really good. They're returning more than, I think they have more returning production than anyone in the country. And they were really good last year.
We don't have to
So,
play. We don't have to play Illinois. We actually miss
yeah.
all of like the top
So
teams
we,
except
we,
for
we
Ohio
played
State.
Texas, Penn State, Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, Washington. We have a, pretty
Yeah,
tough
it's harder
schedule.
now.
Now, I don't think Wisconsin's going to be that great.
Do you guys play USC?
No.
That would be a fun game to watch Ohio
Yeah.
State play.
Oh, yeah.
But
We play
that's
at
a losable
at
game for
Washington
Michigan
now.
too. Michigan's got 5 losable games on the schedule.
Yeah.
They've got Oklahoma, USC, Nebraska, Ohio State. Did I already say Washington? I think I already did. But yeah, I know they've got 5. But they're not super top teams that those losable games are.
So how many? What do you didn't say how many you guys realized? So I said Michigan's going to get like 8 wins. Ohio State will get 11.
Oh, I think Michigan will get 9 wins.
Okay.
I think that Bryce Underwood replacing whatever quarterback Michigan had last year is going to be a massive upgrade no matter what. And Michigan will start off this year. Hopefully, the idea is they're going to pick up from what happened last year, beating Ohio State, beating Alabama, inexplicably, really, in both of those games. So Michigan's team must have improved last year towards the end a lot to be able to do that. To even have the chance to do that, they must have improved. The fact they didn't have a quarterback at that point in time, that gives me some that gives me some confidence going into this year, just because they could lose on some of those games that they go away. I'm really scared of Oklahoma, really scared of USC. Those are those away games.
Yeah.
Nebraska too, but Nebraska, I don't know how good Dylan Raiola is going to be. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean,
how much
they were decent last
make.
year. I mean, they're there's like one of those teams that they're good enough that if they have a good game and you're slightly off, you could easily lose that game. So
if he makes a huge jump in production,
I'm just saying he doesn't even have to make a
game.
huge jump. He could just be like, maybe just a tiny bit better than last year, and they were already pretty decent last year.
No, he was pretty bad last year. He
I'm
played
saying
like
Nebraska overall was pretty decent.
Yeah,
like
well,
they weren't
not
terrible.
too bad.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they played us pretty good.
Very true. But speaking of Bryce Underwood and your quarterback Julian Sayin, question for you: would you rather have Bryce Underwood now as a freshman playing for Ohio State, or Julian Sayin now as he is as a sophomore?
Sayin, he has a whole extra year in the system. Yeah,
really? Because I don't think Ryan Day would agree with you. I think if he could like wave a magic wand and have Bryce Underwood as a freshman this year playing at Ohio State, he would take that over Julian Sayin as a second-year starter. I think he would absolutely do that. Now,
Sayin was the number.
Sayin
was the number one quarterback last year, right? Like he wasn't some scrub.
Yeah, but he's struggling.
The number
Not
one
struggling. He looked pretty good in that spring game, but from everywhere I'm hearing, he's kind of got that deer in headlights kind of look to him. And that spring game was really very much there were no blitzes. Like the defense was super like just standoffish and let him throw back.
And that's in his second year in the system. You don't think that Underwood's going to have some of that this year?
Oh, he probably will. But that was I'm just talking about the spring game for Julian Sayin. I mean, I think that my gosh, if I was Ohio State, I would absolutely take Bryce Underwood this year as a freshman over Julian Sayin. I could be wrong.
Because
that's just a guess.
Sayin, I think we have a chance to win a national title again. I think we have zero chance if we had Underwood.
I disagree. You'd be able to run him a little bit.
As a freshman, I just don't think I mean, the running would help, but just the freshman it's gonna cost you a couple games with mistakes, and you can't have that in the playoffs.
Yeah, but probably a first-year starter, even as a sophomore, might cost you a game or two just because they haven't played
potentially. But I think he's going to be more reliable in the playoffs. Now, long-term, Underwood might be better, but we've had a lot of Michigan 5-star quarterbacks. Aside from JJ McCarthy, a lot of busts.
Underwood would not be a freshman anymore by the time he went to the playoffs. I think that he would probably be pretty close to where second-year Sayin would be, definitely by the end. That's what's interesting. Like Bryce Underwood, it's hard to not see past like the first few games of the year.
Yeah, it's just like the two things. Whether you're going to say, okay, what's more important, the experience, which is really important, or that running ability, which in college is why I was telling you having our quarterback last year was such a big deal. He doesn't have to be an amazing runner, but having a quarterback that can run is such a big deal in college. Like it's such a big advantage. Like if you have a good defense and a good running game and a quarterback that can run and it's also an above average passer, you're going to win a lot of games. Like
Yeah,
running is way more important in college, and it can be important in the pros too. It's just that most NFL quarterbacks that run don't last too long because they get injured. There's a few like Lamar Jackson. It's just no one's sleeping on Michigan's defense. Everyone thinks that their defense will be good. The O-line, I think our O-line is better. You guys lose a lot of your O-linemen, don't you?
No, we lose hardly any of them.
How many returning offensive linemen do you have?
Well, let me take that back. We lose 2 offensive linemen, but the left tackle didn't play in the Alabama game. So we got to basically see this year's team play Alabama in the bowl game. So I think that's where a lot of confidence for Michigan fans is coming from, is we got to see this year's team play and beat Alabama in that bowl game. And our offensive line, I agree. I think it has some question marks, but it's going to be a hell of a lot better than it was to begin the year last year. I mean, our quarterback and our O-line is going to be so much better than it was starting out last year. It's kind of crazy to think about. Plus the running backs. We've got 2 running backs coming in. The guy, Justice Haynes, we got from Alabama, is the number 1 running back in the portal. And then we've got the other guy, the sophomore that's playing. And I think all that together, and Bryce Underwood, they'll use his legs a little bit. Michigan doesn't run unless they're playing Alex Orji. They don't do the quarterback run a lot.
Yeah.
They had to with him, but I think that I'm pretty positive about it too, just because of
actually, the more I think about it, I think I'm gonna upgrade Michigan's win total to 9. I think I agree with you. I think yeah.
That's the only thing. That's the
just
only
because of the running
I've made.
I think the in college, I just think running is such a big advantage. I mean, and I know the defense will be good. So you're going to have a good defense, a good running game, and you're going to have a quarterback that can run. So while I think the quarterback's going to cost you a few games throughout the season, I think it'll be good enough to get you 9 wins, especially with a relatively easy schedule.
Relatively easy. Like we don't play Oregon, we don't play Penn State, we don't play Illinois.
I mean, that's huge.
We're missing a lot of those big time games, big time teams. But looking at the schedule, man, I think USC is a loss. I think USC is a loss. I think Oklahoma is a loss. Nebraska is potentially a loss. But I'm a little more.
That still gets you 9. That still gets you 9, though.
Yeah.
So who else are you going to lose to?
Well, Ohio State's still on the schedule too.
Yeah. So even if you
thinking that's not going to be a loss?
Even if you lose to Ohio State
now, if you want.
Even if you lose to Ohio State, you're still most likely going to beat USC or, I mean, I don't have much faith in USC. They're just not good. I mean, they haven't been good in ages. I would tend to believe you that Washington. I have more faith in the Washington coaching staff and team than I do with USC at this point.
I agree. We get Washington at home, though. We've got to travel out to USC. Yeah. There's some kind of mind voodoo that goes on with Michigan, especially Michigan. I know for all the Big Ten, going out west like that, something happens. But for Michigan especially, they just lose.
It's not going to be easy, especially with the rookie quarterback. But
it's at night too. The USC at night on the West Coast. Shit,
dude, I can't wait for football to start. This is driving me crazy. Like I need it to start now.
We've only got a few more weeks left.
Dude, torture.
End of the month.
The funny thing is there any other sport where you hate watch other teams as much as college football? I remember it was especially bad when it was in the BCS era, when you would have to root for random, for your strength of schedule, you would have to root for 2 random teams to win or lose that neither of you played, but it's just they were your team, your opponent's opponent. So because every little thing helped in the BCS, and it was only 2 teams. So
most of the BCS era, Michigan was not even relevant. So I was just rooting for the teams that could ruin Ohio State's chances. That's my goal. You're right. I hate watched all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I always, teams that I dislike a lot, or just in general, I root for SEC to lose all their games. I root for Michigan to lose all their games. And maybe Oregon now that they're up there, and I don't really care for James Franklin, so we'll root against Penn State.
Yeah.
I don't know. I sort of root against everybody.
Awesome.
I mean, it's almost more fun for me. Like, for instance, like if let's say both teams are ranked about the same, like I almost get more joy out of like a Michigan loss or a Georgia loss or something like that than a win some weeks. Because it's just like it's a bigger deal, especially when it's against like let's say we have an easy win and it's just like whatever, and then Georgia or Alabama or Michigan play a tough game and they lose. That's way more exciting.
Yeah, I agree. Liz, like when I'm watching football and Ohio State like has a loss, like when they lost to Oregon earlier this year, and the way it happened, Liz looked over at me. She said, "You had this shitty looking grin on your face," and I did. It felt really good for all.
Yeah, I mean, just like Michigan losing to Appalachian State, like I still remember exactly where I was when that happened.
I didn't watch it. Thankfully I wasn't sitting there watching the game.
I probably called you after that happened.
I didn't even watch it. But I just kept hearing about it from people getting calls. And then that's all then we went to like some party afterwards. It was like someone's like, I don't know, like wedding shower.
Yeah, we were at Varsity Club or one of the other,
that's all everyone was talking about.
Yeah, it was crazy. All right, man. Well, we hit an hour. Time to wrap this up.
We'll wrap it up. Yeah, thanks everyone in the chat for hanging in. Definitely, I think I changed Matt's mind. In-person scouting is not cheating. And so we will fulfill this bet that we have here coming up in the next few weeks. But anyway, shout out to y'all. Appreciate you. And we'll talk to y'all later. Go Blue.
Go Bucks.